Rise. Here I am. Rise, shine. Give God the glory, glory, rise, shine. Give God the glory, glory, rise, shine. Give God the glory, glory. Soldiers of the Lord. He woke me up this morning with the gift of life. Obviously, if you're watching or you're going to be watching later, he woke you up this day that we will never ever see again. For that, we should give him the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah. But most importantly, the acknowledgement. The acknowledgement. So, yes, welcome to the morning conversation, Free to Hope, with Edwina B. That's me, y'all, Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops. And as you know, FREE stands for From Recovery, Emerge, Empowered. To give hope to others, help others prosper equally. Yes. And so I sit before you as authentic and as transparent as I could possibly be. I didn't even wash my face this morning. I didn't comb my hair this morning. I put on my wrinkled best nightie, right? I did put my dentures in early so that I don't have to wrestle with them coming down and I got to take them out or put them back in. But either way, can you imagine what being free looks like? Yes. Listen, where you at, brush? I got a brush, right? I got a brush, right? I can brush my hair, okay? Get them, depending upon who watching, right? You got to get the kitchen. You remember the kitchen? I'm 68 years old. Y'all remember the kitchen, right? Okay, so that's done, right? All right, so let me do this, right? Okay. Let me okay. All right, y'all hear the water running, right? Okay. Yes, y'all hear the water running. Okay. So I can wash my face, right? We'll get the corner of your eyes. Yes. Oh, yes, I can wash my face, right? See, that was easy, right? That's why I love being free. And that's why I love coming to you as I am and to show you what freedom really looks like. I want to acknowledge you today for being there for me yesterday. Those tears that I shed was tears of joy. There are moments in my life when I recognize that I need to reveal what I'm going through right now, this moment, this second. I need to reveal it because if I don't reveal it and try again to conceal it, then my serenity is all messed up. I also acknowledge that I am an emotional human being, and therefore there are times when my emotions override my common sense, my intelligence, and I just get emotional, right? And when I am emotional, I tend to, in some cases, in most cases, before I got into a 12-step recovery program for my co-occurring disorders, I used to feed off my emotions, most often in a negative and non-constructive way. Okay. And so I also noticed that I would always blame things, people, situations, circumstances for the conditions I was am in, right? That has happened to me. I would always play the blame game, right? And then there were times when I felt that something was severely wrong with me. There were times when I just wanted to isolate and just be gone from this world. Yes, there were times during my addiction and having mental illness, I did try to commit suicide a few times. Yes. There were times when in the past I couldn't fathom going through life ever again, to the extent I was in my addiction and did all kinds of horrific things to other people, to myself, right? And so there were times when I realized that I need to ask the question, what's wrong with me? Was I born to be like this? Is this my purpose in life? Is this the way I'm going to die in my addiction? Yes. And so that is the beauty for me of reviewing my past and not letting my past hold me hostage to where I cannot break through the chains of bondage spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, right? In all areas of my life. And so it was through the review of my past, going through a 12-step spiritual program, that I learned how broken and broke I was. Yes. Yes. So I'm going to start out. Yes, y'all. I'm going to start out with, hold on, let me add it. Come on. So let me go to the first slide, all right? That's when I realized that I was broken. And so the question I needed to ask myself, and to demonstrate what you need to ask yourself, being broken and broke ended when, right? If you have recognized that you are broken and broke, when did it end? When? So in my book, I'm freaking tired of being broken and broke. That's my next book, y'all. And if you come to the event on April the 27th, 2024, yes, you will see my book in writing. And it will have these questions that I pose to myself that I will pose to you in my book. So it's one thing for me to share my story, my experience, my strength, and my hope, what spiritual tools and resources I use as a template and a guideline for you to identify yours. Like I shared yesterday, my story is my story. My journey is my journey. My experience is my experience. What are yours? What's your journey? What has been your experience? What have you been through? When did you recognize you were broken and broke? I don't know, but you got to tell it if we are to be set free and to help others prosper equally. Okay, so take a look. On February the 22nd of 1990 at 3 o'clock in the morning, from underneath a parked car. Yes, you don't believe me? Here it is, right here. It is recreated so that I can show you me being underneath that parked car, right? And this is my first book as it was written. It's a journal book of those things I was experiencing in my first 4 years of recovery, all right? And so it was on February the 22nd of 1990, 3 o'clock in the morning, from underneath a parked car, my life flashed before me. Through utter desperation, I cried out to a God I didn't know and said, whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. It was then I surrendered my life to him. Do you hear me? Huh? Huh? So when you get a copy of my book, and on the following page, it's going to be a blank page for you to insert the answer to the question, right? Being broken and broke ended when? And so, as I shared, as many of you know, underneath a parked car, 3 o'clock in the morning in the streets of Philadelphia, after getting high with and doing all kind of sexual favors for my own stepson. We both were 34 years of age, and obviously we both were in our addiction, and we both were suffering from mental illness. That's the only way I can explain it, right? And so when I recognized my total desperation, right, it brought about through that humiliating experience after reviewing my past that was my one and only knee bowing experience, okay? And so that began my recognizing how broken and broke I was. And so as a result of, let me go here, as a result of being broken, right, and being on this pathway to recovery, I was set free and set to be the advocate to help set others free. So years ago, my friend Reggie Dillard and I tried to develop an acronym for the word free, right? And so we went through this, we went through that, and we came up with something. And it wasn't until years later that I was in an AA meeting that this gentleman was next to me, he happened to be a doctor, and I showed him the different words that I could use or want to use to really express what I've been going through and what we in a 12-step program to deal with our co-occurring disorders, can really emphasize. And after he looked at it, he said, why don't you try this? And it was set in stone: from recovery, emerge empowered. See, from recovery. Have you ever had a sore? Have you ever went through an operation? Have you ever went through something and you had to be placed in a recovery room, or you had to be somewhere where you had to recover? In other words, you were trying to get back, right, to the original point or the original state. Recovering something back, right? And so recovery in Alcoholics Anonymous, a 12-step program, I don't care if it's NA, AA, Sex Anonymous, Love Anonymous, they all use the same 12 spiritual principles, right? And so we are in recovery. I'm not going to debate with nobody that I'm recovered, because it depends on the context in which we use the word. I use the word and saying that I am in recovery spiritually. That's what I mean. And that's what the 12-step spiritual program means. We are in recovery from a spiritual aspect because we have a disease, right, that afflicts us with compulsion and obsession, right? And so when I dived into the 12-step spiritual program and all that it has to offer, I learned a lot about the spiritual realm, where I focus so much more on my humanness. Okay. And so being in recovery, right, for me, it says from recovery, emerge empowered. And so that's for me what says free to hope. And then once I have emerged empowered while I'm in recovery, it is my obligation, right, to share my testimony. Do you hear me? It is my obligation, and now it has become my honor to share my testimony with you so that I can give hope to others in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You don't have to be a drug addict or alcoholic or a prostitute, right? What addiction are you suffering from? What has consumed your life? Are you trying to control people, control situations? Are you addicted to food, to shopping, to work? Do you even know that you're addicted to something? Because all human beings are in one way, shape, form, or fashion. Yes, we are. Why? Because we are creatures of habit, right? And so, as a result of me being in recovery, and I'm ever so evolving in my spirituality, right? To again obtain the psychic change that is necessary for me to constantly look at my brokenness and being broke as it relates to my thinking. My thinking, right? And so when I share my experience, my strength, and my hope with others in any way, shape, form, or fashion, it is for that purpose only, just to help save one more. You know, I was at a 12-step convention this past Saturday, and it must have been close to, I'm going to say, 800 to 1,000 individuals who are in recovery, right? And we get together every so often from around the world, and as a result of being in a 12-step program myself, I learned that my my platform oftentimes is outside of the 12-step program because we learned the foundation, the basics, and we began to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, that being said, I am also a trainer, a presenter for Narcan, right? Training individuals, organizations, agencies, families on how to administer Narcan for those who may have overdose, right? And so, as a result of understanding the 12 traditions, right, of a 12-step program, I knew that I needed to be separate from the 12-step program because in our traditions we are not affiliated with any organizational institution, and so in asking permission, you know, through my church affiliation, Canaan Baptist Church Substance Abuse Ministry, with my pastor and first lady, Dr. Christopher Allen Bullock and Dr. Debbie Bullock, the substance abuse ministry is under Reverend Daniels. And so the Narcan training project Mood, right? Multicultural, right? Opiates, right? Outreach, right? Deliverers, right? Project Mood. So I was able to be in the lobby in this convention. And do you know, I was able to train and pass out Narcan kit to almost 250 individuals. Do you know that I robbed dead bodies? I stepped over dead bodies. I didn't call 911. I wasn't bringing nobody back to life during my addiction. No, no, no. But see what happened when the spirituality of my very existence emerged while underneath that parked car when I hollered out to this God that I didn't know to take me out this life or show me a better way, that he would prepare me, mold me, shape me, order my steps to be of service to others. So rather than what I used to do and being spiritually right, elevated, to the point where I want to be of service to others. I was able to pass out almost 250 Narcan kits for the purpose of saving somebody's life. And who knows? It might have been administered at that convention, because I did see at the bus stop some individuals in the mix, if you know what I mean. They were in the mix. So I always believe that when we are set free and in recovery, we give hope to others. All right, so let me get to the reading for today. Okay, so many of you know that I go to my 12-step meeting every day, and it's a beautiful thing when the reflection reading really hones in on what I need to feel, to see. All right, so check this out. It says March the 13th, AA reflection reading, a world of the spirit. We have entered the world of the spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for a lifetime. Okay? And so when I dissect these words, when I hone in on them, when I really pray on what they are trying to say to me, it is powerful. We are spirits, right? A world of the spirit, right? God is spirit, right? And so it says again, we have entered the world of the spirit when we recognize our brokenness and being broke. So our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness in this world of the spirit. It's not an overnight matter. I didn't become a drug addict, alcoholic, and prostitute overnight, right? So it's not an overnight matter. It should continue for a lifetime. That's why with 34 plus years in this process, yes. 34 years, one day at a time. You know why? Because God is on sacred time, not secular time. A.J. Harding said the other day, you're not too old and you're not too young for God to use you. So when we address our brokenness and being broke, when the student becomes ready and the teacher will appear. So that means that ego and pride and all that kind of stuff will take you to a place like it took me underneath a parked car. So let's see what the person in recovery shares his perspective. This is good, y'all. This is good. He says the word entered and the phrase entered into the world of the spirit are very significant. They imply action, a beginning, getting into, a prerequisite to maintaining my spiritual growth. The spirit being the immaterial part of me. Barriers to my spiritual growth are self-centeredness and a materialistic focus on worldly things. Spirituality means devotion to spiritual instead of worldly things. It means obedience to God's will for me. I understand spiritual things to be unconditional love, joy, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, self-control, and humility. Anytime I allow selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear to be a part of me, I block out spiritual things. As I maintain my sobriety, growing spiritually becomes a lifelong process. My goal is spiritual growth, accepting that I'll never have spiritual perfection. Oh my, oh my. See, I wish this was an hour show, but it ain't, okay? But I just need you to go to aa.org and you can see all the components of the 12-step spiritual program. And so you can replace your addiction, right, with whatever substance or chemicals or outlet you seek, right? And replace it, right, with what I use, alcoholism, co-occurring disorders, mental illness, and all that, right? And so it doesn't matter. These are 12 spiritual programs that came out of the Bible. All right, so let me share this with you too, right? And so I want y'all to go, right? So now, okay, here's another good one, right? And so Alcoholics Anonymous 12 spiritual principles came from the Bible. And so just like in the reflection reading just now, the person who wrote his perspective, he admitted, he said, he regurgitated these things so that he can hear himself and so that others can hear him. And so step 5 in the 12-step spiritual program says, admitted to God, ourselves, and another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Let me stop there for a second. Do you know how hard it was? I don't call it hard anymore, but could you imagine how hard it was for me to say I committed murder as a prostitute because I got pregnant from a John and I didn't want the father to be acknowledged? Could you imagine how hard it was for me to reveal that which I wanted to conceal and take to my grave? But guess what? That secret kept me sick for 10 years. I didn't know God, who I didn't know, already forgave me. But it took 10 years, and it took until I got into recovery that I began to forgive myself. Why? Because I admitted it out my mouth. God already knew. I knew, but I needed to share it with somebody else. Yes. And so here comes the comparison with the spiritual scripture that it came from. In James 5:16, it says, therefore, confess your sins to each other and pray for each other so that you may be healed. Do you hear me? Huh? Do you hear me? So the 12 spiritual principles came out of the scriptures. Even though the scriptures, the Bible, and all the religious tools that people use around the world since man's been here, there's a spiritual component, right, that surpasses all religion. I had to learn that, right? By being open-minded, by recognizing my brokenness and being broke. And so that's why I want to invite you, right, to my event. Where are you? My event, right? Let me take this down. On April the 27th, right, of 2024, because I want to share with you what I've been sharing with you since January the 1st, but really throughout the years. If you go to YouTube and type Edwina B, you will see all the podcasts, all the TV shows, all my talk shows that I've conducted in my 33 years, right? And so you will see how being in recovery, I have elevated, not to the level of perfection, but I'm so happy with the progress I'm making. So I do have the Eventbrite. I just need to put in my information for my credit card or my bank, because it's going to be free to the participants. But any service providing agency can come as a vendor and pay a fee. So as soon as I lock that in, I'm going to put the registration Eventbrite link in so that y'all can register. I want everybody to come. But guess what? If just one person shows up, I'll be happy. I'm going to have my book. I'm going to have my new book. I'm freaking tired of being broken and broke. I'm going to have my various CDs that I had over the years, right? So that I can demonstrate to you and show you that this is real. right? The news articles I wrote, right? Featured in different articles and all, okay? And so I need you to be there because it is my responsibility and my honor to help set you free. From recovery, emerge empowered to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. So I'm getting ready to get off now because y'all know where I'm going. I'm going to my 7:30 AA meeting at the 1212 Corporation located at 2700 Washington Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware. That has been my home group for over 33 plus years. But if it wasn't for the saying that my knee bowing experience helped me to address my brokenness and being broke so I can be transparent, authentic, and help somebody else become the same so that they too can help somebody else. Have a blessed day. I love you. You love me. We are one big family with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Ooh. Was that better? Have a blessed day. I love you, Lord. Oh, I love you.